Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Yeah, and we're still talking about Schubert, and we're going to be talking about Schubert for a while. But don't fear, because Schubert is so great. I mean, he sustains the interest of lots of videos about lots of music, and tons of music. And this particular video has some rather cool things, including a couple of operas. First, Alonso Un Estrella. Yeah, I mean, Schubert wrote operas with no possibility of them ever getting performed. And he just did them on spec. Imagine, I mean, really, this is like a serious opera. This one's on Berlin Classics with Hermann Prey and Edith Mathis and Theo Adam and Fischer Dieskau and Peter Schreier. I mean, look at the cast, for God's sake. I mean, it wouldn't matter if they were singing the East Berlin Telephone Directory. You'd want to have this. It's marvelous, and it's conducted by Ottmar Sweetner, and it's a big, long opera, 162 minutes. Serious stuff. And it's about Alonso and Estrella. Now, Schubert was not a natural dramatist, an opera composer type person. He was a songwriter, and his arias are essentially beautiful songs, and they stitch together the story, and we're all happy as a result. And speaking of which, this was one of Claudio Abbado's major releases, Schubert's Fiera Bross. It actually is a heroic romantic opera in 3 acts. Wow, baby. And this also has a wonderful cast. Robert Hall, Karina Matila, Thomas Hampson, Laszlo Polgar, Robert Gamble, Joseph Prochka, Cheryl Studer. Wonderful cast with the Chamber Orchestra of Europe. And this is a live recording, actually. It was released in 1990 and recorded in 1988. But it generated a brief flurry of interest in Schubert as an opera composer, after which nobody paid attention to him, as usual. But yeah, this was like a must-have, and it's one of the gems of the Abbado discography, no question about that. Then we've got, Schubert, Symphony No. 2 and Beethoven Overtures with Char Munch in the Boston Symphony. This is the Japanese Munch edition. Some of them I have in a clump upstairs. Some of them got broken up into individual things that I stuck with individual performances because, I just had to have them in various spots. So I would keep coming across them as I went through my collection, as I'm doing now. Then we've got Andra Schiff doing the Schubert late piano sonatas. There's also a big box of him doing all of the Schubert piano stuff that he did, which I have upstairs. Very sensitive performances. Schiff has a reputation for being just a little bit faceless, kind of reticent as an interpreter, but I think his Schubert's lovely. I really do. I have no issues with it. And then we've got, the Schubert Ninth, the Great, with Karl Böhm and the Staatskapelle Dresden. Now, this is live from 1979, and the sonics are a little bit tinny. It was a radio broadcast. It was recorded live and whatnot. But boy, is it exciting. Wow, is it exciting. And I remember, Böhm did a very fine Schubert symphony cycle, of course, it's on DG. It was with Vienna, and it was Vienna, Berlin. I never remember which, but it was very good. And then this showed up, and his ninth was always very good, but this one was like, whoa, baby. It just smoked, and it still does. You can see the steam coming off of it if you look very closely. We've got the Schubert Quartets 14 and 15 with the Busch Quartet. Classic historical recordings when Schubert was not at all well known. These were made in 1437, I think, or sometime after the last bubonic plague hit Europe. No, actually, it's 1937 and 1940, but it might as well have been 1437. What the hell? Once you get past a certain point, it just doesn't make any difference. Classic versions. And Schubert 8 and A Midsummer Night's Dream with Ferenc Fricsay. Well, this has all now been boxed up, but this is before things were boxed up. This is the Japanese edition of that again. Don't you love Japan? They made everything so well and left it in print for a little while. And then we've got the Schubert trios. Excellent performances of the trios with the Florestan trio on Hyperion. So you've got trio number 2 with the first version of the finale, which I like because it's longer. Schubert's one of those composers. You don't want shorter, you always want longer because it's Schubert and it's all more Schubert-y if it's longer. And then this one is the trio number 1 with the Notturno in E flat and the B flat major piano trio movement. Because as one of you pointed out in the comments, Schubert was just one of those guys who wrote bits and pieces and just like tossed things off, and some things he finished and some things he didn't, and it really doesn't matter because it all sounds so Schubertish that we want to hear it anyway. And then, here's a treat, 3 CDs, Songs by Schubert's Friends and Contemporaries. This is the appendix to the Schubert Complete Song Edition on Hyperion. 81 songs by 40 composers who lived and worked during Schubert's lifetime. Now, where are you going to file something like this? Well, you file it under Schubert, of course. Thank God. Thank God it has a title, Songs by Schubert's Contemporaries, because it gives you an excuse to put it under Schubert. Otherwise, where are you going to put it? You know, I'm under Franz Ignaz Popel-Schmelcher or you know, Alois Grundl Spitzer or something. I mean, you know, it's hopeless. You want to hear the 40 composers? No, you don't. Actually, Rossini's in there, and Spohr and Weber. Okay, so there's some names, you know, and Mendelssohn and those people. What an amazing collection of little songlets this is. It's oodles and oodles and oodles of fun. And the performers are great. It's Susan Gritton, Anne Murray, Stella Dufeksis, Mark Padmore, Gerald Finley, Graham Johnson, with Marianne Thorson and Sebastian Gomberti. And oh, what fun it is. That's why it's in the Overflow room, because I've listened to it like once, and then I said, I mean, it's interesting. It was interesting as an adjunct to the Schubert lead edition, of course, but it's not something that I play regularly, because I'm not, like I've told you, a lead person. But for someone who's not really a lead person, you're going to find a lot of leader in this set of videos. Trust me, folks. I know some of you are already chomping at the bit because the first 3 videos didn't have much Schubert leader. Well, they're coming. They're coming. We'll be talking about them, believe me. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.